Okay, so thank you very much, Ella, for that very kind introduction. So, mayong hapon sa tanan. Mayong hapon. Okay, so welcome sa aton nga Fireside Chats, no? It is conversations that spark innovation. So this event is presented by DOST Iloilo and co-presented by FyrLab Accelerator and CPU CPUGAD Technology Business Incubator. So for those nga hindi pa masyado familiar no sa Fireside Chats or first time nila mag-join, Fireside Chats is a conversation series that gathers startup founders, enablers, business people, government officers, investors, industry professionals, and the bigger community to discuss insights on entrepreneurship, tech, and innovation. So, ari kita subong sa Sipugad TBI, today sa Central Philippine University, and our conversation for this afternoon will revolve around the theme, next stop, the Western Visayas Startup Ecosystem Wishlist. So, of course, let us now welcome our guest speakers. No? So, introduce ko sa inyo aton nga speakers for this afternoon. So our first panelist is a licensed chemical engineer currently serving as the Regional Startup Ecosystem Development Coordinator for the UMWAD Western Visayas. She has a diverse background spanning engineering, education, and innovation program management. Her previous roles as a sales and service engineer and chemistry instructor have given her a strong grasp of both technical operations and the needs of emerging enterprises. Help me welcome our first panelist, Engineer Shariz Rose Garrino. Ma'am, join us here in front. Good afternoon. Okay, so our next panelist is a pen maker, wood turner, and craftsman. He advocates for teaching such skills to children and hobbyists to empower their creativity and in handmade craftsmanship. He is the founder and CEO of Banwa Pens, a hobby turned business building custom made pens out of upcycled, locally sourced wood. His star projects include pens made from former and current government officials, including First Lady Louis Araneta Marcos, former Vice President Lenny Robredo, and former Mayor Jerry P. Treñas, to name a few. Our second guest is Mr. Arnel John Nonoy Vallejo. Sir, good afternoon. Okay. Our final panelist is the General Manager of West Visayas State University, Binhi TBI, and the President of DevCon Iloilo. She leads programs and initiatives that support startups, innovators, and tech-driven enterprises in Western Visayas. With experience in design thinking and product development, panelist bridges technology and entrepreneurship. As a tech community leader, she fosters collaboration among government, academe, and industry partners. Let us welcome on this couch Miss Ted Hyacinth Aspera. Okay, so complete na aton nga panelists. So hopefully comfortable na kita, and of course ang atong nga guests dapat ready na kita to engage in the discussion as well. So again, no, to reiterate, our theme for today is the Western Visayas Startup Ecosystem Wishlist. So mag-proceed kita, we will start with the siguro with the behavior and mindset. No, so with that, our first question, pang Miss Universe, what values, attitudes, or behaviors do you think should be more common among startup founders and ecosystem players in Western Visayas? Sige, repeat ko. What values, attitudes, or behaviors do you think should be more common among startup founders and ecosystem players in Western Visayas? Okay, so we have the microphone there sa front. No, okay. Si Sir, gindahoan na lang siya ni Ma'am. Okay, so si Sir
Voluntold,
mauna.
voluntold. For me, I'll speak based on my personal experience. Should be resilience. Resilience. You know, no matter what happens, if you want to achieve something, then you really have to follow through, and you know, and to see that your vision is materializing, right? And along with that, resilience comes discipline. Right. So whether you like it or not, you have to get up and work. Whether you like it or not, even if you're sleepy, if you're tired, you have to work. Right? Because one thing that we really could not take is time. And time is not always on our side. If you want to achieve something, we must fully maximize and utilize our time. It's for me.
Right. So it's nice that Sir, I don't know, highlight about resilience because I've worked with startup founders um even nasa UMWAD pa ako and then with the Binhi TBI, and one thing that they possesses talaga is the grit, aka resilience and perseverance, because even their business model is not working, they are still trying to parang ano ba, continue to find ways on how they could pivot, because in the current ecosystem that we have, sobrang adoption of digitalization, it's so hard. The customer acquisition, it's so tough. But because of their grit or resilience and the ano ba, the ability to pivot, as well as their love for the problem and not the solution themselves, it's what makes them continue ba still thriving even up to today. And next siguro, I would like to highlight the investment in learning and networking. Some of our startup founders really invest their time kahit sobrang busy sila. They invest, put money because they believe that they could get a return on investment out of that. And it's so nice that it's really existing. Ang daming mga partners, collaborators na na-achieve nila. And thank you then for the USC, the AI Fest has really give them opportunity to network with other international partners. So yeah, just put yourself as a founder in event, just show up, because who knows, we can get something in return out of that.
Yes, okay. So resilience and grit. I think for me, with the observance of our startup founders, those who really do excel are those who always show up. Because opportunities are everywhere, and uh, you might not expect that you will meet someone during a networking event or a conference that will inspire you or you give you the opportunity to step up or to scale up. And also, we know that startup sometimes it it has to be, your solution has to be on the right timing. So just keep showing up. So you'll never know. And also for the enablers, um we appreciate that some of the startups are telling us that they appreciate that we have this activity, so that these people are showing up for them. It was nice for them to talk to people that we are bringing into Iloilo, so they were happy to listen and to talk to them. So I guess if you're there, then you have learned or earned a lot.
So thank you very much sa atong panelists, no. So actually we have well represented panelists, no. May ara kita nga founder sa startup, may ara kita nga from the enabler TBI, and also sa UMWAD, no. So a greater scope kumbaga sa mga enablers naton diri sa Iloilo City and even sa region. So na-mention ni Ma'am Ted actually ang ability to pivot, no. So with that, dara ko siya relate ang ato nga next nga question. So what mindset shifts do we need to encourage among founders, investors, and even the public to foster stronger innovation and risk taking? So, ma'am, siguro si Ma'am Ted na lang man ang mauna answer. Sige.
For me, it is to embrace failure not as the end, but as part of the reviewing process or the growth ba. And I think this is something that Iloilo lacks, or even the Western Visayas right now, because napaka risk averse tayo. Like parang I think we cannot blame the culture, because that is how we are. Parang ano ba, sobrang layo pa natin sa Manila and other ecosystem. So as an enabler myself, if there's one thing or wish ko for our ecosystem, is to create or continue create the culture where we celebrate not only the wins but also the failures, the losses. We also need to end the stigma na pag failure ka, that's the end. Kasi some of the investors, even the Kobe Core and a lot of research findings na some of the most successful startup have pivoted a lot. Ang daming failure. So hopefully no na we try to create this culture where not only we celebrate the wins, the success, but also the failure. It needs to be brought up into conversations.
Okay, so actually, I'm interested naman to hear from our founder or startup, no, kung ano ang mga opportunities nga na-encounter naton, sir, nga consider kita mag-pivot or mag-change sang perspective naton sa aton business.
Well, for me, as much as possible, I do away with the term failure. Because if we contain that experience to this word that's failure, then so many things are associated to that word, right? I treat it as a learning experience. I see it as a learning experience. What you see as failure is a learning experience for me. Like what Einstein said, right? I like 99% he failed, 1% he succeeded, but 99% of the time he learned new ways on what not to do. right? So, along with that failure, quote unquote failure, you gain something from it. Always, you're always on the winning side because you're learning. You found ways on how to improve things. If this doesn't work, this will this will, or you come up with ways on how to resolve the problem, right? And then the next there is, if you fail fast. Fail as fast as you can. Right? If you do something and you fail, okay, move. Right? Stop, move, find another way. Oh, it doesn't work, find another way. You have to fail fast. That's why what I think, what I want to piggyback with mom said, uh, don't dwell too much on it, you know, right? And the market doesn't care about your emotions. Numbers don't have feelings, right? So if you dwell too much on the emotional side, then for sure you will treat it really as a failure. Your business failed and you fail as a person, right? The business might fail, but you did not fail as a person because you learned something. Okay. Next.
Ma'am Shariz, basi may add ka pa, ma'am.
So, okay, so that was very comprehensive, Nana. But to add, failure is very subjective. So it depends actually on the founder if what is the goal in entering this track or this venture, for example. But if he just wants to prove first for MVP starting, you just want to prove, then failing might not having clients or customers might not be a failure. It's just a negative result. Means that there is no client for that, so you have to pivot. So as long as we breathe, there's chance. So yes, and of course, in the investment side, we are during several angel investment talks, we are always taught that investing in startups is not like investing in traditional businesses because we invest in the people and not directly to the business because we are looking on how these startup founders are grinding for their business. So that's it, I think, for me.
May something to add, Miss Ad okay. So actually, I think na-answer ta naman ang atong nga next question, which is actually, how can we build a culture where failure is seen as a learning step rather than a setback? So basi may ara pa kita i-add, no? So I think ako siguro, I would like to add na lang nga that rejection actually is, I mean, failure is not rejection, but actually redirection siya. So, given sa inyo na mention earlier nga sa mindset lang kumaga nga not to treat it as a failure, no? So, dako na siyang impact niya kumbaga sa imo. Okay, so anything else to add, sir, ma'ams? Okay. So next, that is our behavior and mindset. Next, we have the events, culture, and community building. So what kinds of startup related events do you think we need more in the region? So recently we had hackathons, demo days, pitch nights, networking events. Do you think we need to add something else sa aton nga mga events? Siguro mas si sir, okay, sa perspective sa aton nga startup.
I think for me, these resources are, I mean, these events, it's already, kumbaga, it's not on the events that's happening. It's how you engage and involve yourself and partake in those events, right? Like for me, if I join, like say, like a gathering or what for startups, I ask myself, what's in it for me? What can I gain from it? It's not just about meeting people. What projects can apoy if I talk to this guy? Can I collaborate with him? What are the opportunities that I can have? What other opportunities they can, what other opportunities that will open up for me if I join this or that? So we were very fortunate right now. I think for me as a startup, I am very fortunate because with all these activities, we have the TBIs uh, and also different facets wherein I can have my learnings, DTI seminars, workshops. So for me, it's more than enough because with just one seminar or workshop, I can I got lots of takeaways when I get home. I ponder on it. How can I apply these to what I'm doing right now? What to do, what not to do, right? So it's not just about gathering and here I am, presenting yourself and getting to know them. What's important there is how you involve yourself, right? And how you work with people who has a potential to help you out, right?
Yes. So in my perspective naman no, in a TBI and as enabler, for me, what really my wish for the ecosystem, the current ecosystem that we have, is to really establish a pool of mentors or mentorship network ba. I'm a fan of learning and collaboration. And para sa akin, hindi pa more exposed yung region natin in terms of biomedical and healthcare solutions, yung clean energy and technology. So we're really glad no that currently the UMWAD right now is trying to pull some of the experts outside the region kasi we really need that. Hindi natin need yung ang sobrang expert but don't know how to contextualize ba or localize na mas fit sa ating region. So currently, I really hope na in order for us to better guide our startups din with this kind of niche na hindi natin parang ano ba, common sa region natin is to build this kind of mentorship na hindi lang siya pang one-time event. Hopefully that it could sustain then, like while they are working. Because I think some of the student, even our professionals, really needed that. And we could, I think, benefit from that. And I could just, ano na lang no, segue. We have a lot of talent kasi sa na professionals, freelancers dito sa region, and of course our network with other TBI. We could not, instead of having these fragmented efforts, why not create a cohesive platform where we could help each other, stop paano ba, not let's break the silos but collaborate and or in order for us to build a thriving ecosystem.
Yes. I really appreciate Sir Noy's answer because when you stated the question, my mind goes, "Oh my gosh, we're planning the Iloilo startup, the innovative startup fest right now. That's gonna happen on September. What are we bringing in? Are we really bringing in speakers or events that will bring value to the startups?" And hearing that our startup founders appreciate all of this and are looking into engaging these people that we are bringing in is very ano, rewarding. Yes, okay. So, yes, I guess, and looking into our recent mapping reports, um, I guess for the ecosystem, we really need to have a more consistent regional and global events to expose our founders, our enablers, uh, to be influenced. What's happening outside of Iloilo, outside of Western Visayas? What can we adapt? Or what can we get inspiration from what they are doing that we can adapt here, because well, not everything can be copied from somewhere, so we have to start our own. So learning from the things that they are doing, as to quote RD, if RD Rowan, if wala diri sa aton dalon ta sila diri. Oh, so I guess there's more to come, hopefully.
Actually, to transition, ma'am, to our next question, dala na si mong microphone. No, so you mentioned no nga kung wala diri sa aton pakatuon ta sila di. So ang aton nga next nga question is how can we make our events more inclusive? No, given nga for example hindi la sila taga diri, may ara kita nga i-consider nga audience outside. So how do we make it more inclusive?
Okay. Right now, we are packaging our events for it to be more attractive to people outside Western Visayas, because we want them to have the idea that, oh, my startup event si Iloilo, or my startup event sa Western Visayas, kadto ko to bala. Kay they always bring in events that have weight, or that uh, if magkadto di sila, may dalon gid sila puli, network, investment, or uh, partnerships or anything. So we are trying to build the image of Western Visayas that is conducting events that gives them more kumagat to sila diri. So we're positioning ourselves like that right now.
Ma'am Ted, anything to add, ma'am?
Yeah, so for me, um, if you guys have attended Innovator Summit, I think this is one thing that I really love about it because it has diverse group talaga, non-profit, business group, academe, and even the traditional businesses. So what parang insight ko talaga doon is if we work together na kahit ibang background, and that's one of the start to make startup events more inclusive is to invite other different groups back. And for me, no, as a current president of DevCon, if you guys haven't heard DevCon, it's a developer community. We really need sobrang dami pang tech groups na hindi familiar with the opportunities in the startup. I have delivered startup one-on-one with WordPress, with Astral Vision, and other, of course, in DevCon. And some of them haven't heard about the opportunities in the ecosystem. So whenever we do event, let's invite them. Because ang daming talent pool ngayon sa Iloilo and Western Visayas, ang daming freelancers who also want to be part of the startup. And based on my current engagement, I have connected several business group din to find their CTO. Kasi alam ko, we also want co-founders, right? Na may mga technical background. So, in events like that, we really need to invite those group na hindi natin usually ini-invite, and hopefully this innovative startup fest rather, um just check out na lang kasi ang daming ang events this year.
To add to that, now I think as founders or as of startups, we could not just entirely rely on these activities because we ourselves we really have to commit time to learning, right? If we can't get this kind of learning sa mga activities ni FyrLab, activities ni DevCon, then what are we doing? We have resources in the internet. We have resources. We have several, like we can listen to one talk and then right, and then we don't have to go sa mga ano nga the same lang man na makuha mo, tama? So I think the commitment and the responsibility there falls on the founder or of the startup. How committed are you to your work nga? If you fail, will you blame FyrLab for not telling you how to do this, how to do that? Would you blame DTI? Diba? Right? And the thing also there, I think with these kinds of activities is I don't know if we're having this, but like follow through. Right. What's the impact of this talk? Say you get in touch with the participants, say after a month, after what have you done to what ideas did you get that you were able to implement on your project or your in your business, right? Because if they have that experience when it creates an impact to the business that they're running, then it's easily to attract somebody to let's attend this because this is what I did. I learned something from this workshop. I learned from something from this seminar. I'm gonna share. I applied it to my business. It worked. Join me. You might learn something also that might be applicable to yours. So perhaps like a follow up session or a feedback, just a feedback session right after, say, a month or two. What happened, right? So that we can have like an assessment, so to say. Oh, thank you.
Parang may impact assessment si
Oh,
Sir,
right, right.
daw muna siya. So,
Kasi,
sorry, sige,
see, sir,
sir.
because sometimes like we conduct this, we conduct that, we conduct this, but then after that, what happens? What were we able to gauge? Diba? Right? Could be like a possible metric on your end too, right? You're able to establish a parameter. Okay, out of the 60 participants, 40% were able to implement what we have discussed. They have transitioned to this, they have transitioned to that. They have automated. Right. That's all.
Yes, okay. So, noted sa ating mga enablers na noted. So, muna siya may kita nga do somehow impact assessment to gauge kumbaga kung ano ka-effective gid man ang atong gin-conduct nga activities. So, with that siguro, proceeding to the next question, ibalik ko siya kay Sir Noy, no? So, I think is mas ano siya sa imo nga perspective as a startup. So, what forms of support do you feel are still missing from enablers like government, academe, accelerators, or business chambers?
So in terms of support naman, Okay, so I had this. It started as an idea, right? Then touch base with what coastline, and the opportunities open right after that. And for me, I identify first what support do I need, where am I lacking, all right? If I have idea, I was able to identify that, then I know who to go to, who's the right department to address this, who's the right person to go, who's gonna be a possible mentor for me, right? So again, the account, it all goes back to the founder. It all goes back to the founder. You can't just go asking for support from everyone. Are you gonna ask money from DTI, right? Are you gonna ask technical support from the department of what, right? So first you need to identify. You go back, right? What do you need for you to be able to grow, for you to be able to grow your business, right? And then you can go to the right department. Actually, all the pieces are there for you to just, take advantage of, take opportunity, right? So I think that answers the question. Because again, everything is just there. All you need to do is, kung saan pa nakan, it shall be open to you, di ba? Seek and you shall find. Right? But first, you have to really identify what you're missing, what's lacking, di ba? Right? You can't have somebody identify your challenges for you because you're the one running your business. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sa aton enablers. No.
Okay. Yes, Sir Noy, we appreciate. Okay. So, regarding with the support, yes, there are different kinds of support that our enablers need. Tanin. Yeah, enablers need support too. Our founders need, depending on the stages. And yes, we agree. We agree to that there are still gaps in our programs that maybe we can still do more. But I guess it's also good that we share or inform them of what we have right now, because uh, looking at some of the agencies or government units that we are recently has just been involved, meron para silang mga activities or programs that can be availed by our startup founders that even us don't know. Just recently lang nang nalaman, or patapos na ang project, dito pala nalaman na, oh, it's good for this one, that one, kasi lang it ended or what. So I guess it's good proper information dissemination of what we have right now. And also, yeah, and for wala na.
Yan lang. Sige.
Yeah, so I guess I'll stop there muna. I'll get back to it
Sige.
later.
May sugpon si Ma'am Ted.
To add on that, no, I think what really could add in the current support that we have is more sa atin ng mga TBI, since kami ang rooted talaga more taking care of our startup, is on the portfolio management. Kasi sa ibang reseed programs, medyo nagsastart na din sila. And in order for us to really bridge the gap between the investment and yung startup, is to have this comprehensive portfolio management ba, that we need to learn about kung ano yung mga needs nila, kung ano, nasaan na sila, and ano yung investment na needed nila. So, for us to find a clear pathway on capital formation and investment readiness. And for the angel investors din naman, yung support natin is for them then to start trusting. Kasi even yung hindi lang startup founders natin yung risk averse, no, but also our investor, kasi traditional pa tayo. Unlike Manila, they invest in idea stage, even though it has a high risk. So hopefully, no, our potential investor could start looking or seeing our startup as worthy of investment then, even it has a risk. But I guess we have a lot of things to work on in this ecosystem. But for now, that's the future we want to achieve.
Sige, may add si sir.
I really appreciate what you said about angel investing, and then she's right. Manila setting is entirely different from Iloilo. If in the Iloilo, the way I see it lang, it's more on the traditional. So you really have to prove yourself first, that it's working. But then again, the challenge there's a startup. How can you prove yourself if you don't have the resources for it? 'Di ba? So, amo na kis ang mako gani, amo na kis ang line of thinking ko and the way I answer it was based on my personal pursuit gid ya sa akon nga kung di ko mabuligan, obrong ko niya by all means. By all means basta legal lang. Right? Basta legal lang siya. Okay, we still ano, damo lang gid na siya. So, amo na kis ang weight ya, ang ako niya mindset is everything entirely depends on me. No, kung may mabulig sila, okay. Pero I do not I don't want my business to entirely rely on him, on this, on that. I will always find a way. So, amon ang bako nga I would agree man kay nami man tani if there's a change of mindset man ba sa investors naton diri. But I think it's gonna take a little bit time gid no because mindset takes time. Eh. So, amo na siya nga nami kita ni. And then I'm really hoping na in the near future ma-shift kita sa dira nga ano nga environment.
That's nice actually ang na-mention ni Sir no nga hindi siya kumbaga pa-dependent sa support sang enablers naton kay with or without it dapat para siya maka-go on ng iya business and if ever may aral na siya kailangan available lang si enabler no so sa enabler side naman siguro what we try to provide sa aton nga mga startups is kung anytime nga mag-approach sila sa aton may ara kita service or may ma-offer kita sa ila no matter how small at least may ara kita something to offer no so with that mabalik naman kita kay Ma'am Sa. No, ako actually this time it's about the enabler support naman naton. So since kita kamo sa UMWAD Ma'am Sha no ang may pinakadako nga scope kumbaga siguro how can we strengthen collaboration between startups and traditional businesses in the region?
Collaboration between startups and traditional businesses. Okay, I guess uh, it depends on the nature of our startups, of course, but it also roots in these traditional businesses knows about the startups or how they work because earlier meaning previous years uh, uh, there was a FGD, I think, that discussion between what incentives or what programs do we establish for startups. And then there is a member of that discussion group that raises the concern of what if the small businesses will take advantage of these opportunities that we are laying down for startups. So I guess it's more of knowing what these small businesses need that our startups, if we have, that we could pair them. For example, our traditional businesses, as the name traditional, do not have their inventory systems, and we have startups that are creating technology systems OS. They specialize in creating ano nga yan? Yung personal, yes, for this businesses. So they could match. Or we have recently our guest from the AI Fest that is his business is creating an AI based system for MSMEs. So it's just a matter of introducing each other to them, and then letting them talk, because right now we also appreciate that some of the startups are partnering with each other because one service benefits the other. So I guess it's the same with traditional businesses. So if hindi hindi mo kayang mag-support from our traditional businesses in monetary or investments, I think giving our startups leverage using their services, telling the people that oh, magamit man ang service ni startup and they're good. So I guess that's it. That would be better for us.
So to add on that kay Ma'am Sha, no, very nice perspective actually. Though napathink man ako. So we need to pilot this corporate and startup partnership because it has the huge potential. Even yung mga corporate, they can benefit sa ating startup to adapt those services na gin-mention man ni Ma'am Sha. And also the startup can validate or test their ideas no with real customers na. So my key insight lang, I don't want to it to ano lang, make it long, is for us to make the startup innovation a mainstream rather than making where we connect both the traditional and the startup and not make the startup as a separate ecosystem. Kumbaga, let's put the startup innovation into market, not para ano ba, separate with the traditional one. Ayun lang.
I think one of the key areas that it just came into my mind right now is why do they remain traditional? Now, if we have identified these businesses in the traditional setup, what's the age group, right? If I've identified the age group, they're what, 60, 55, 60, 70 years old. Now, what goes along with that? Are they technologically savvy, right? Will they be able to adapt to the solutions that we are providing? So I think also that's one of the key areas that what we can do to merge both. I think the opportunity there is to educate them as well, right, on how to use the software. How are they gonna, diba? They're gonna be used with the analog na mga phone, and here we have touch screens. Now, even my mother, she's a teacher, but doesn't know how to use GCash na, right? The comfort zone, right? It's the comfort zone. So I don't need it anymore. You do it for me, right? As simple as that. So I think that's also there. Again, we're gonna go back to a shift in mindset. It's like an overhaul of the mindset of everyone, right? Not just from the kids going up. So if we can find a way wherein we're able to connect them, not only on the business side, but on the aspect wherein you can educate them about technology, about what's in it for them, right? How are gonna have a better track of their inventory, monthly sales, data analysis, reporting, right? So it's a big task. It's a big task also.
And even ano bala, intimidated sila ang aton nga mga traditional businesses sa mga technologies, no? So I think that's also makasulod man how can we make it inclusive sa aton nga different levels of startups, no? So may iban kita nga traditional, may iban kita nga medyo kabisado na, may iban nga expert. So sa aton, I mean ko sa enablers siguro nga side, no, is to make sure that biskan din siya nga level ang ato nga startup, miyara kita ma-insert or ma-offer nga appropriate nga type of assistance man sa ila. Okay, so next, what policies, programs, or incentives from LGUs or national agencies would make the biggest difference for local founders? So sa aton nga founder perspective, siguro masar kita kay Sir Noy. Kay sa founder, ang last word. So sa founder kita masar. Okay, again, so what policies, programs, or incentives from LGUs or national agencies would make the biggest difference for local founders?
I think the one that would make the biggest difference is not the program, it's the founder, right? Despite of what resources you have there, you can make a difference with 1 peso as compared to somebody who doesn't make a difference giving 1 million pesos. Right? It depends on the founder. For me, what I'm just trying to say here is, again, we have our resources available to us. It's only always relies on us on how we tap and to tap on those resources. We have what do you call this, assistance to startups, and then we have policies already. What was that? The formulated by board member Gonzalez, an ordinance for startups. So all of these policies are already there. And startup grants, we have startup grants, right? So again, the impact that founder can make, not depend it would not really entirely be dependent on how much resources he got, but how we can make use of those resources to create an impact.
How about sa aton enablers? Sa aton experience siguro, no, on our day-to-day nga pag-meet or encounter sa atong startups, what do you think is the biggest difference sa aton nga mga incentives nga provide, anong may pinakadako nga impact sa aton nga startups?
Okay, to start, I really love Sir Noy's answer because everything is really there. No, not everything, but I think we have so much that we have also already put out there that is waiting for our startups to grab. Okay. So earlier this morning, this morning nang earlier, we are talking with the ICT and we have because recently we have a startup grant startup grant awardee for the ICT, two startups actually that have awarded with startup grant from the ICT, and of course RD is looking forward that we have awardees every year coming from Iloilo or Western Visayas. No, so then he asked, "What are other grant funds that are there?" So of course we explained that we have grant funds from the OST, grant funds from different councils of the OST actually. So then he has to compare. Actually, there are differences because uh, the ICT grant fund opens to concept or idea stage. So our early stage startup can really start from there. So it's I think the national uh, competition is up to 1 million, and then of course our DOST councils have their startup grant fund that ranges from 3 to 5 million, and then another stage development commercialization. So he was shocked niya, really 5 million, then ours 1 million. Sorry, Artie. uh, and then he asked, there's also Neda is joining the group with recently their Philip at Neda DapDav with their Philippinnovation. So they are also giving grants to startups. So there's really a lot. And going back to Sir Noy's answer, all of these grant funds are starting with proposals. So that's the nitty gritty part. So it's really the dugo at pawis ng ating mga startups in writing this proposal, in doing their diligence, in registering, because of course they cannot apply for a grant fund without the proper uh, uh, registrations and permits. So I guess that's yun talaga yung pinaka-start. It starts with the founder going out there looking for what he needs, and eventually, if wala pa, there is someone that will craft that for them. Hopefully.
Actually love both perspective. It's especially with Sir Noy. Kasi, me, in my point of view as a TBI manager, kasi ang dami namang, madaming TBI manager across the Philippines who actually, ano ba, thinking of this one na ginawa naman lahat, all of the like the ecosystem. We have a lot of opportunities, funding, mentorship, but it still boils down to how the founder would persevere. Parang ano ba, would find efforts then to really help their startup, because at the end of the day, negosyo natin nyo yan eh. But one thing that we could affirm lang, that as we in the TBIs, pwede nyo talaga kaming ma-approach. Like right now, we're helping with the funding assistance of one of our startup. When you ask for mentorship, we cannot give all the answers, but we can connect you to the right people. It could be a mentorship in like pharmaceutical or green technology or any other niche in funding support. Tutulungan kayo namin sa proposal, pero kayo yung magsusulat. And just like what Ma'am Shariz said, medyo mahirap siya, but it's worth it. Some of those who receive the funding, hindi naman nila just write it na parang simple lang, but dugo at pawis din yung binigay nila doon. Because at the end of the day, those seed fund or small funding could start or kickstart some of your current development ng startup ninyo. And hopefully, hindi lang tayo magre-rely din, no, ng mga funding. We could also try to explore other means to sustain or finance our startup. Yeah.
Sige, thank you very much, Ma'am Ted. Grabe gid ang aton nga emotion ka. Very personal siya sa aton, no? In some sense naman, kumbaga. So, siguro, let's take it, ano siguro, in a sense, in a hypothetical sense na lang man. No, ang aton nga last question, no. If you could wish for one enabler or resource to be available in Western Visayas tomorrow, no, biskan mo pa na siya, buwas lang, no. So hindi lang karon, buwas lang, may time pa ta mag paminsar. So, it could be angel investors, venture capital, specialized mentorship. What would it be and why? No. So if you could wish for it, na tapos ara na siya by tomorrow, ara na siya, sir. May nag-call na. Okay, share mo lang, angel investor na. Okay, so sige, si sir, ikaw na naman na answer, sir, no? Basta mo na to siya ang call, gin-reject mo siya, no? So, okay kita ka ba, no? Okay, so, again, no, if you could wish for one enabler or resource to be available in Western Visayas tomorrow, what would it be and why?
Siguro I think an angel investor would be would be a great help just to hasten the process, right? Para mapapanasig mo lang how you operate things. Pero cause for sure, if you can gauge yourself right now that you're leading to success, right? You know your path. You have laid out everything, and then if I do this, that you're consistent with what you do. Of course, you know the outcome, right? If you do the same thing every day, you're gonna expect the same result, correct? Right. So just to make things fast, if I have all these resources, I can generate this much or more products. You can do this, you can do this. That is just to hasten stuff, right? So, basta may shout out sa mga angel investors. I'm waiting.
Pa-check sa phone, sir, kasi may nag-call na. Okay.
And then I think siguro amo lang ginasa kay because I think for any business, we really need the financial aspect of it, and the financial aspect really plays a major role in how we're gonna do, even just for our daily transportation, right? It all adds up in the end. How many dealings we're gonna have in a day? Gas, transportation, food, right? Even that can sustain that, and that would be a great help.
Ma'am Ted.
So for me naman, if there's one wish that I really want to have our ecosystem, it's to diversify the funding assistance. Kasi some would not prefer din naman investment, no? Don't want to give their equity out of percentage of sa money or underwent mga serious. So they could, explore other means. For example, funding with nonprofit organizations like Vilro Philippines or let's say Wadwani Foundation or any other organizations na hindi naman need more on equity free ba. And we also have the government agency and hopefully other loan apps that they could get money. Also, yung for ano ba, familiar kayo with Kick Fund, like anyone who could fund that. Hopefully, we could create that kind of database where, kasi yung based on my experience, lahat ng mga founders talaga, nahihirapan, number one talaga, yung pera. Kasi they don't have the money to bootstrap from their own and from their family or what. So hopefully, to diversify that, and we could create a platform for that one to really help our aspiring founders to start like turn their idea into reality.
Yes. Okay, so since this is a hypothetical question and you're asking for wishes, okay, suntok sa buwan na to. Okay, as a part of UMWAD, I wish for a story, an inspiring one. One that will inspire our startups to push harder and our investors to trust them. Or yun, because we will be sharing this story again and again so that people will know that we're creating something here in Western Visayas and they will be inspired by it and will say na, oh, si ano to nag-invest lang siya kay Amoni at the time that this startup is still not really established. It's just the trust, and then they boom or they got the opportunity to scale up, and suddenly they're unicorn or kanding nga may bangs. Okay, so right now, I guess from us, we are really craving for that story to share to the world.
Nice. Ma'am siya. Na-touch ako. No, so actually, with that, ma'am, actually, subong siguro, let's consider this a start sa imong wish, no? No, we are actually creating a story right now. Part kita, characters kita tanan sa amo nga story. And actually this episode, no, it might be the last no nga how do you say this? Last session for this Fireside Chat series. But hopefully after this, no, kamo nga participants, you could share this story as well, no? So hindi ni siya nga dali lang na di aton ginastoryahan. Let's share this. Let's share their sentiments, their heartfelt ilang nga mga hibinunot, no? Now, I mean ko no, we have startups here, we have enablers, no? So let's share what we are discussing here, no? Sa to anyone outside this room. So with that, thank you very much sa aton panelists. Hopefully ang aton participants nag-enjoy gid and na naka-gain gid sang insights and thoughts sa aton panelists. No, so thank you very much again sa aton panelists. And of course, sa aton audience for participating. Hopefully may naka-resonate gid the floor for questions sa aton participants. Maybe we have questions, insights to share? None? Pero we have microphones available today. Sige, si Sir. Pa-introduce na lang, Sir, sang self mo and then with your question.
Okay. Hello. Okay, so good afternoon. My name is Kurt. I'm a fifth-year architecture student sa University of San Agustin. And currently we're undertaking our thesis and doon na namin agad kami bala sa mag-delve into this ecosystem. So our plan sa thesis namon is creating a model for an innovation hub there is a Western Visayas that is user centric, ma-focus gid kami nga ang mga occupants nila productive gid bala, while at the same time being a building that is sustainable, lesser costs. Yeah, so una architecture kami, so about ng building sa apan pamangkaton. So so recently in Manila, sa Marikina, recently yung DOST dito nag-open sang innovation hub nila, which has fabrication labs, exhibition spaces. Batangas recently opened their KISS Park, which has research and development centers, startup incubators. So my question here is, do you have anything on your wish list in terms of infrastructure to further the development of this ecosystem in Western Visayas? Thank you.
Sige, go. Si Ma'am Shariz ang
Okay, so I'm happy that we have students from San Agustin. So, actually, with the recent result of our Iloilo province ecosystem mapping, one of the challenges that we still here have to address is co-working spaces, because I guess we have a lot of co-working spaces here in Iloilo City or in the region, but it's not really used by our startups because it's mostly used by students who are studying, since it's positioned like cubicles, like libraries, so it's not really uh good or conducive for our startups because they are not studying in silence. They are working, they are talking. So I think one that they do not like to work there because it's if you have a call, you cannot answer it inside because you will be disturbing other people because it's an open space. So I guess we need more designs to be introduced to our co-working spaces. Yes, that will be more friendly to our startups. And I guess yes, that's very nice ang mga nag-open outside in Manila, that one building they have their fabrications lab, because our startups also need some this prototyping facilities. Okay, so if you could propose maybe a design, maybe our funding agencies can fund. Yeah. So I guess there's really room for that here in the region. There.
Thank you po.
anything to add, Ma'am Ted? Sir. Okay, so does that answer your question? Okay.
Thank you po.
Sige. Siguro we could accommodate one more. Sir Jelvi.
Good afternoon para sa mga panelists nga ano no. Based sa aton nga nga may mga incentives kita from the local government sa mga startups. Pila na ka startups ang naka-avail sa mga incentives nila? Like mag-process ang mga anong tawag sina? Mga business permit nila, may ara na bala or pila na sila kabilog?
Numbers. We have not yet collected the numbers, sir, that have availed, especially with that is actually applicable siya sa city ordinance because the Iloilo city is the one in charge with the licenses and permits, issuing of permits. But we have experienced it with the startup with a spin-off of one of two of our spin-offs in Quadra TBI that sa pag first namon na pag-apply since the address was in ISAT University and the first company was a uh, manufacturing of physics equipment. So we had a problem with the zoning because it's a we declared it as a manufacturing company and they're asking why is it inside a university. So then we explained that the manufacturing is actually toll manufacturing with the fabrications laboratory, and then they're asking how much is your capital since it's manufacturing, so you need 3D printers, you need a lot of equipment. So we said that we did not have a capital for the equipment because we are just paying the FabLab as our third party manufacturer or something like that. So the city tried to help us ease the process of getting our business permits. So instead of complying with a very long list, we got our permit by the next month, I think. And also with one of our spin-off. And then although hindi nila maintindihan why we did not have a capital or why our capital was very low despite of declaring that it is a manufacturing company. So they tried to understand that this is a starting company that is trying to prototype or to prove that there is a market. So we have to register for us to do our business. So I guess, and they are still learning on how our startups can avail, especially that in business permits there are a lot of fees. So and these fees are anchoring on different regulations man, sir. So like sa fire, sa ang garbage collection, so lain man ang ginaangkoran niya nga mga regulations. So they are, I think, thinking of ways on how it can be applied to our startups. But with the first time na mga mag-a-apply for business permits, they're trying to really accommodate na madasig ang pag-apply for business permits.
Siguro namin no, ang wish ko lang no kung para sa mga startup siguro, kung ako be startup, gusto na mabalaan kung ano pagid yung mga fees ang balayran namon no nga para mag-register after registration ano pagid ang mga balayran namon ng mga fees para mapreparahan namon so do wala sina sang wala sina ma-implement gid may.
I would like to add lang, just recently we had a session in terms of business registration and startup incentives with our cohort 4 just last Friday. And we had invited Miss Connie Pineda of the business BPLO office, and she said that if you are under the TBI or any TBI here in Western Visayas, then they will just lessen all the requirements for the startup if they're going to use the address of the TBI. So also you can also invite them if you want, so they can discuss all the requirements needed for the startups. But one of the issue is that when in terms of the manufacturing, but they can use the address in terms of the office lang, not for the manufacturing, para hindi siya magdamo-damo gid ba lang ang mga questions in terms of the zoning. Thank you. maligway do office lang nga dito sa inyo nga mga co-working spaces.
Okay. So thank you very much no sa atong participants for participating. So with that, do we have sa atong panelists, do we have anything else to add? Mo-plug kita sa aton mga Sige, sir.
May mga startups na kita ba lang nga hindi spin-off or hindi siya funded sa government nga mga nga na-fundingan or nakakuha sila grants sa mga private individuals or sa mga angel investors diri sa Iloilo. May record kita sa mga startups.
Private investment offerings. Yes, so, sa private TPI, we had some information, but most of from Panobliks, also with the Academy, and as well as Bacalacan, I think may ARA. So, but we cannot disclose all the information. Yes.
Yes, sir. And to add to that, may isa ka venture capital company that we in Cebu that we have discussed or encountered with. Iyan na sentiment is it's more easier to put your trust in a startup that has been funded by the government because kinsaligan siya gani isang government nga hindi ko siya pagsaligan. So my point man siya. So, something like that.
If I could no siguro si Sir Noy, na pressure.
Ang I think siguro, in terms of funding naman, like for me, the challenge for me is what? When I apply for funding, what's one of the metric there? Scalability. Scalability has to be scalable, repeatable, and all of that. Now, sa creative industry, may ginatawag like if you remain small, pero if you, how do I say this? Sometimes ang output mo in terms of productivity is based on how scalable your business is, right? But if you compare, say for example, my output based on my initial input, kumbaga mas dako ang iyaya nga in terms of percentage bala sa measure of success. So amo nang challenge ko before. So even mga mentors going question ko sila. So is it really just scalability would be a requirement as a measure of success para maging successful ang imong business. So kay challenging man kisa sa creative nga side mo. Say for example, be luthier, di ba? Mga pang-obra na dad, sa mga gitara kag mga di ba? Mas scalable ba? Yeah, i-automate na be. Right? Di ba? But they remain that and they've been running for like how many generations already nga sa pasa ang skill. So, but it would help tani kung may gamay sila nga funding. Nga mga assistance lang. Pero, munang challenge. Right? So, sa creative industry na sa iba niya nga industry siguro I think if it's repeatable, if it's the process can be repeated so many times, then scalability is your best route. Right? But so, amo na ang isa lang, even up to now, that's the challenge that I'm having. So, may approach naman, ang sa inyo, ano, wag fail. I don't think it's a fail. Then I find ways to be able to, to get resources in terms of, how should I carry on with my operations by myself. Right? So I think what I'm leading to is if there are also projects that can be proposed, right, that are being proposed, if it's not scalable, but the measure of success there in terms of percentages, there's a wide gap as compared to somebody who can scale, right? Diba? Say for example, just one example for you to have a clear picture. I started making pens, tritaso, libre lang na iya, bligya ko 1.5, 2,000. Invest ka dabi 100, naging scale mo 350 isa. Then mas dako income. Right? Diba? Ano mag-get mo point? Pero kung buligan nyo ko, dugangin lang bala equipment ko, mapadasig ko pag giniobra ko mo. Hindi kinanglan mapadamo ko tawo mo. Dugangin lang gamit ko. Right? Pero hindi ako nag-challenge before, 'di ba? Amo lang challenge ko before, mangayo assistance kay kinahanglan ko additional gamit para mapadamo kung obra ko, 'di ba? Less input, nagdasig pa gid siya. Mas dako pa gid ang gross greater pa gid ang kwan ko in terms of efficiency of productivity kag ang success rate ko dako taas. Right? Ang turnover sang finances. Right. So, well, that's one way also nga if we can have a look into it, 'di ba? It would really help. Thank you.
Okay. Finish, Sir Chug. Okay, so thank you, Gid. Sir Daryl. Okay, we have one more question. Sige, Sir Daryl.
Last na po. Sige.
Last is
Tilawigon to. Chat lang. Sige. Good afternoon sa tanan. I'm Daryl Lasafin from FyrLab Accelerator, the first private accelerator in Western Visayas. I'd like to add an insight to two points. So company formation and funding and then scalability. So sa usaping company formation and startup funding, one of the factors that we would always consider is the fact that in Philippine setting, particularly in Western Visayas, considering the requirements also of technology business incubators, etc. Ang aton nga idea or concept of startups, they are set up as a business right away and not just tech projects. So that's why some of the venture capitalists in Manila and outside would say the founders will be saddled by regulatory requirements and all that. So may expense gid siya. So amo na siya I'm not saying that it's wrong, I'm not saying that it's necessarily bad, no, pero amo na iya be contextually ang aton nga ecosystem dira kita binaga-operate. So parang when you set up your startup because you have a plan to turn it into a business, and then in your journey, you will be providing value. So may value exchange. So sa Pilipinas, yung alayi, dapat mag-register ka. No? So muna, doon natural lang siya. Muna. I'm not sure yet. I think it's in the policy level kung saan na siya ma-change or kung ma-change na siya at all. Muna siya biyang nature niya. So in terms of so leading to funding, startup angel investment or angel funding requires investment in the team and in the concept and in the market. So munang tatlong ginatanaw gid sang angel investors. I'm not so sure kung how perceptive na ang aton nga local businesses or ginatawag naton nga high value high net worth individuals, kung how perceptive na sila sa amo sina nga okay, I have a very high risk appetite, gusto ko mag-invest sa amo ning idea, damo ko kwarta muna. Because the difference between an angel investor and VC is that si angel investor mahatag lang siya kwarta because he believes in those three things. He believes in they believe in the potential. Si VC is an organization of investors. Si VC may ara ka sang fund manager tapos ang investment kay hatag sa imo halin na siya sa damo-damo nga tao sang investors. Ang return ibalik yaman na to isa-isa ni VC, amo na siyang model niya. So ang pinaka-friendly gid actually nga funding for startups naton diri would be angel investment, grants, and bootstrapping. Amo na siya. Pero ginaliwat-liwat mo na even sang venture capitalists and even sang other nga entrepreneur support organizations, the goal is not to keep raising funds. The goal is not to keep seeking funding, and the goal is not to raise millions and millions repeatedly. The goal is to be sustainable. The goal is to grow. The only reason that we are raising funds is to speed up our growth. Amo siyang rason niya. So, kung possible sa imo nga business model hindi kayo mag-raise funds, wala man na kaso. Oo, kung possible sa imo business model hindi kayo magkadto sa venture capitalist, wala man na kaso. It means that you're able to build a sustainable business even without external funding. Because again, we know that kung mangayo ka kwarta nga hindi imo, ma-share ka sang ownership sa imo company, di ba mo na? Yun. So, one last point would be on the scalability. Gimension ni Sir kagina about regarding the efficient growth, no, scalability. Kag medyo lain-lain gyud man abi ang speed niya depende sa industry. So one very one distinguishing factor for tech-driven startups is that dasig ang iyang scalability compared to other startups in other industries. So, the faster the scalability, the shorter man ang time between the investment and the return. Muna. So, high growth tech-driven startups, that's why high growth tech-driven startups are more attractive to angel investors and even and more so VCs compared to startups with a little bit slower na scalability. Parang dira lang sila kung magko-compete sila naturally, mas advantageous ang tech-driven and high growth. No, but in terms of sustainability and mo to ganyan bali Sir Gina, it doesn't mean nga slow yung mga growth, hindi ka na profitable or hindi ka na sustainable. Even very slow growth businesses are more sustainable and more profitable than tech startups because a lot of tech startups fail really fast and sometimes wala na nagapadayon. So I think that's and I just would like to appreciate our panel, very insightful session this afternoon. Damo kami na learn. And as one of the co-organizers of this Fyrside Chat series, we want to hold more of this in the future and kabay pa supportive ka magyapon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sir Daryl. Okay, so again, no, thank you very much sa ating panelist. Even actually sa insight mo, Sir Daryl, thank you very much. No, so if you have a query siguro sa angel investing, VCs, Sir Dar, open for inquiries later, no? Regarding angel investing, VCs, very well-versed si Sir Daryl with that. So once again, thank you very much also sa atong participants. So once again, this is Fireside Chats, conversations that spark innovation. Thank you very much for joining us today. Before we officially end, ma-picture lang.